Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel and I'm so happy to have you here today. This DIY video is all about pumpkin DIYs. I wanted to take a moment to thank my subscribers and also welcome those of you that haven't subscribed yet. Please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of our friends and family and help my channel to grow. All right, let's get to DIY 1. I took this pumpkin that comes on the stand and it has this painted burlap, and I'm just using my heat gun to take this off. It really just helps heat up that glue and make it much easier to take this off. I could just cover that up, but I wanted to get that off so the back of these look nice. Now this was a double pumpkin, but one side of it was broken. I used my heat gun again to just blow that right away and take it apart. Now I found these 2 scrapbook papers at Hobby Lobby, and I just used my fingers to trace it. You can see it makes that lift edge. I cut this out just a little bit further than I really needed to. You could cut right on that line, and you would be good to go as well. So I used that one for the center, and then the 2 ribs on the side, I used the lighter leaf paper. And then I just painted in between those with Peacock by Waverly. I think that it just pulls the colors right out of that scrapbook paper. Now, one of my other pumpkins there is a little bit bigger, but it will be tucked behind the big pumpkin. So even though it was only 8.5 by 11 sheet, they didn't have it in the 12 by 12. I was able to use this on the pumpkin on the side and just cover up part of it. Then I just covered the full pumpkin on that smaller one. So I have 3 pumpkins here, and I'm using my Elmer's Extra Strength Craft glue stick. And just rub that on. Now I just did the same thing on the sides here to the pumpkin. The nice thing about this is it does make it repositionable. Even once it's on there, you can move it and add a little bit more. It makes it a little bit versatile while you're working with it. Such a different twist on fall colors with that peacock blue, but I really liked that color in with the scrapbook papers. Now I just want to make sure I have a clean edge on these pumpkins. So I will take a file and just go in a downward motion, and that will get it nice and close right on the edge and does it perfectly. I will do the same thing on these. As I told you, I cut a little bit further out on those. So I'll take just a little bit more filing, and it does help distress it just a little bit as well, as you can see. Now I'm taking some antique wax. This is a one from Folk Art, I believe. And I'm just taking it right along the edge. I'm sure it's pretty close to the one by Waverly, as they're made by the same company, Plaid, so they're pretty similar. I just took it around the edge of that lighter pumpkin as well, just to give it a little bit of that darker edge and, I don't know, tie them together a bit. I got this word thankful. There was thankful, grateful, and blessed, and there was 2 of them in a package at Hobby Lobby. So I liked the thankful because I'm trying to do this so it ties with Thanksgiving just a little bit more than just fall. And now I'm just wrapping those stems in some jute twine to help finish those off. It will depend on the stem of your pumpkin how often you have to glue it. Some of them have a bit of a tilt to them, so you just want to glue along the way. This one was easy and was more of a rectangle, so I could just go around and glue it at the beginning and the end. I took a little bit of that antique wax right around the word thankful as well. Again, just trying to tie all three pieces together. Now I have these tiny little beads. They're just wooden beads. I'll link them down below as I link everything that I use in the description box. I got a huge thing of beads from Amazon. I think it was over 1,000 beads. But I want that so it will sit up from the pumpkins just a little bit when I attach it. Now I'm just finding how I want these pumpkins to sit together. As I told you, this one didn't need the scrapbook paper on all of it because it will be partially hidden behind the big pumpkin. So just arrange those three as you'd like them. You could also use the metal thankful from Dollar Tree. That would be a good one. If you don't have this one, you could also paint it in the peacock. And the beads just help it sit up from it just a little bit. Now I wanted to make a stand so that they will stand up. So I took that stand that originally came with the double pumpkins. The bottom piece is right there. I'm taking 2 tumbling tower blocks. I glued those together and then a third in the middle. Now a little bit on the bottom and a little bit of hot glue. The wood glue will give you that long-term hold and is much stronger than the hot glue, but the hot glue gives you that immediate hold. I painted those in the peacock. Now these are the side pieces on that pumpkin. And those will be my little stands. See? Waste not, want not. Little crafty hints for you. I think as crafters, we all have a little stash of bits. And I just painted those as well. All right, let's attach them to the stand. And that wraps this up. Oh, I think these turned out so pretty. I am so excited to be hosting Pumpkin Palooza with Kiki from Kiki's DIYs. So, Kiki and I thought it would be fun to use up some of those spare pumpkins that we have before we get into the full Christmas season. And we asked these lovely ladies to join us. So in the description box below, you will see a playlist link. You simply click on that and it will take you from one video to the next. You will get continued inspiration from all these ladies and their talent. I appreciate each of them for joining me. Take a look at some of Kiki's great videos that she has on her channel. I'm going to link her below as well because these are some really fun things for this fall. Going all the way back, Kiki's been doing this for a while, so you could definitely get a little more inspiration from her looking at her channel. All right, let's get back to crafting. DIY 2. Started out with this Dollar Tree frame and just popped the back out. And then I decided that I would use some scrapbook paper. I wanted this a little bit of a Thanksgiving theme, so I found that scrapbook paper at Hobby Lobby. Then I adhered it with my Elmer's Craft Extra Strength glue. I've never had an issue with this lifting, so I prefer that. This has like pumpkin pies and cranberries and things like that. So I thought this would work well to go with Thanksgiving and not just fall. Now I'll just pop that right back into the frame. Next, I took these little mini pumpkins, and if you've watched my videos before, you know waste not, want not. So that was a pick with some leaves on it, and I'm just curling and clipping off some bits to replace the little skewers that were the stems on it before. I think it makes it look just a little bit better. Next, on my Cricut, I cut this out, and I just want to show you, if you flip it upside down and roll the backing off of it, it's easier to get that off. Now, this is from a song that I really like, Give Thanks with a Grateful Heart. We sing this one at my church, and I really like that one. So I thought that I would add that to Thanksgiving. I thought it fits. So I just attached that. Probably could have put it on something else to pop it out a little bit. I debated that. I'm adding some mini little straw bales and the mini pumpkins. After all, this is Pumpkin Palooza here. Oh, that one just jumped right out of my hand. That's okay, it wiped right off. All right, just adhering those pumpkins there. And then I thought it needed an embellishment up top, and I have never made a messy bow. So here's my attempt. I cut the foil ends off of this ribbon, and then I just clip that into smaller strips. Now, the trick with a messy bow is that you just have little strips of it, and there isn't any real rhyme or reason. You can flip them here or there. It's pretty easy to do, and you get a lot of different colors and textures in there, and I just thought this would be fun. So after you get them all situated, you can just put a zip tie there and just cinch it up. You can leave it a little bit looser and position those. I probably should have left this one click less as I was finishing positioning it, but it works out just fine. You just want to straighten them all out, get them the way you want, snip that off, and then you just want to cover that zip strip. But before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of twine, which I will use to tie it to the frame. This is going to be my piece that will go around the center to cover that up. Then I remember, I want to tie it on. So I added my twine here. So tied that on there. Now I will just tie this piece around here, double it over, just so it looks like the center of my bow. And just tie that securely. You could add a little bit of glue here or make it a little bit longer so that you could, make it a full knot. But this held well enough with that wire in there. So just snipping off those extra little pieces. I'm excited as you go through all of these to find out which one is your favorite. So please leave a comment below letting me know which one you liked best. I'm also curious how many fall DIYs you actually do. Do you decorate like crazy, or are you, nope, a few things and I really decorate for Christmas? Let me know. I really want to get to know what you guys want to see, what you like, etc. That's a great spot for those comments. And here we are. Is a super simple little DIY. I took some of the twine, the wired twine, and I'm just wrapping it around a little paint bottle. Now, I'm making a pumpkin. If you want yours to be thicker, you can definitely, twist 2 of those together or 3. But I just wanted a little one that I could stick on my tiered tray. You could even use a smaller bottle if you wanted to. Now I'm just taking a piece of regular twine and I'm tying that right around the center just once. Now I'm going to slip my stick right under there and tie it and pull it tight. And now I'm just going to keep wrapping it through the loop until we use all that twine and tie it up tight. That one adheres all of those rings together, and it also brings the stick nice and tight in the center. This is just a stick from outside. All right, just tied that nice and tight, bringing it around and just move, and you can finagle that a little bit with the wire. Really simple. You could leave it just like this, but I thought it might be nice if I added a little ribbon to it for a leaf. It's just as simple as that. That wire in there holds it pretty tight, but I'll add just a little bit of glue. And with a little bit of glue, that's going to about finish this up. There it is, just a fun little addition to your tray. This one is pretty all on its own. I like how it's painted. This is a sign from the Dollar Tree, and it is actually painted and not just a paper over the top, so it is really nice. But I popped off that leaf, and now I'm filling in those holes. Does anyone else have a problem when you fill in these holes? Does it always work for you? I tend to find, here I did, I painted the sign. You didn't have to watch me paint it in the Waverly orange chalk or pumpkin chalk paint. But I had to add a little bit more in there because you could still see the little bits at the top. If you have a trick, please tell me in the comments below what you do and what makes it easier for you. I'm taking hazelnut here. I covered that leaf and now the stem. I tend to find that I often have to go back and do another coat. All right, we want to give this pumpkin a little bit of detail. So I'm taking I believe that was the Home Decor by Folk Art wax, again, antique wax. I'm dry brushing that on just to give some of the illusion of the ribs of the pumpkin. So where there might be those little ribs, and you can kind of see at the bottom and at the top where it has the bumps. So I'm just enhancing those. But I'm starting out here before I do any highlights or low lights. This is kind of a little bit of the low lights. So I am in no way a painter. I've heard a little tips and tricks along the way, and I definitely have family members that are so much more talented. So I'm adding a little bit of plaster chalk paint here just to add a little bit of highlights. I took a wet wipe right back over it and just smudging that in. As we know, pumpkins are not perfect. They all have imperfections and bumps, and indents and all those sorts of things. But I want it to be a pretty pumpkin, but it does. It has to have some different areas that aren't all so perfect. All right, so you just continue that until it looks the way you want. I took this Waverly chalk paint in moss, and this one I believe I chose Thankful again. Yes, it's not the Grateful. I'm just trying to continue with that bit of a Thanksgiving theme. Instead of, the grateful, we can be grateful for things, but the thankful goes along with Thanksgiving just a little bit more. So I just painted that up. And now I use even smaller beads than the other one I did earlier and put those on here, and I just put it in a few more places. This, again, just lifts it a little bit from your pumpkin. And I painted those beads just in case you could see them and added some low temp hot glue. There we are. Just center that on the pumpkin. And then I just put a bead here so that I could put the leaf on there. And I did do just some floral wire, and I curled it around a paintbrush to make those tendrils for the pumpkin. And there we are. These are pumpkins from the Dollar Tree that they're all right on their own, but I wanted them to not look such a harsh orange. So I took some of my Waverly pumpkin chalk paint, and it's getting down to the end. But as you know, pumpkins aren't all one color. So I'm taking a little bit of ivory and that pumpkin, and I just kind of mixed it in and mixed it along the pumpkins. And you'll see it gives them, just a little bit, I don't know, it makes them look just a little bit more real maybe. But these are just a couple sizes, so I did them all just a little bit different. I will let them dry there on that piece of floral foam. This is a great thrift find. This huge grapevine basket was $3 with the balls inside. So I thought that was a great buy. I took this block of floral foam from the Dollar Tree, split it in half, and set on the bottom. Now I'm just using some lamb's ear and starting to cover that up. I'm, bending those around, popping some out, clipping some off. I often save some of the wires from my other florals and will adhere, some of them to that. I think this was, is it called Dusty Miller? I was trying to remember, but I wanted different textures, not just a lamb's ear. So these have much bigger leaves. And so I'm adding those in there and just clipping off others and mixing it in. So just bend those around so it helps fill up that floral foam. Now I'm adding in some pumpkins. Those are two little bit bigger pumpkins that I got at Hobby Lobby. There's one of my painted pumpkins. See how it just looks a little bit better with those different hints of other colors? And you just poke that right into the floral foam. Oh, I also added some eucalyptus. So just continue to pop those in there, moving them around. I'm trying to move the camera. This is a harder one to film because this basket is so long. And I ended up, those bigger pumpkins, I ended up taking one of the longer orange pumpkin skewers and put it on the bottom and poke that into the foam. And here's some of the white ones on clips. All of the ones on the clips, I just used them as they were, and I clipped them on different spots to different leaves or skewers or whatever I could find that they would sit nicely. This turns out to be one of my favorite fall, Thanksgiving, whatever you want to use it for. I really like this. This basket turned out really cute. This one, I believe, turned out pretty high end, and you'd see it at like Kirkland's or something like that. But goodness, I don't think I could afford it from there. So, of course, you make this your own. You use what leaves and things you have, but this is what it looks like in the middle of my kitchen table. Oh, isn't that pretty? I really do like how this one turned out, one of my favorites. As we take one more look, I want to thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you'll answer one of the questions or give me a comment of your own. I will reply to each and every one of them. So thank you for taking the time to spend with me today. I hope you've enjoyed enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell. And I look forward to doing another video soon. All right, thank you so much. Stay safe and have a blessed day.